So how you been this week?
Good. It's a funny story about yesterday. I legit forgot yesterday was Wednesday.
Are you working right now?
No.
No. Okay.
So what happened was, like, I took the rest of the week off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, cool. And then, like, so I had Tuesday off because Monday was my last day at that store. So I was like, oh, whatever, right? Tuesday. And then Wednesday I hung out with Paige and we got lunch, and then she went home and I got comics. So in your brain you should think, oh, that should tell Cody it's Wednesday because he got comics,
Wednesday, right? Yeah.
And so I got home and I was like, I want to play some video games. I'm playing video games. I looked down and, like, that's when I texted you guys. I'm like, oh, wonder if we're in record. No? Cool. All right. All right. Well, I guess we'll do it tomorrow. Because, I don't know what happened yesterday.
And then nobody almost said anything today. Me, I was like, last minute, I was like, we're recording today, right? Like, no one has talked about this all day.
I was going to send a text, too, like, right after that. Like, I was just getting, like, dinner situated or whatever. And I was like, I text the guys and see who's going to, be on at what time. And you text me, I was like, oh, I should probably do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, goddamn, time flew again.
Right?
Because, doing nothing.
Because doing nothing, I know. I spent the day playing the Blair Witch game.
Ooh, the new one?
Yeah, the one from last year.
The one's on that Game Pass?
Mm-hmm.
How was it?
It's fun-ish. I completed it in what would be 2 days because I started it last week, and then I finished it today. So it's not a very long game. The only thing that sucks about it is it forces you into... It's one of those games with multiple endings. It forces you into the bad ending.
Oh, by default? Like you die or whatever?
Basically you become the new
Blair Witch
adversary thing. The only good... Because I guess there's like two... There could be like two bad endings, two good end... Or bad ending plus good ending at the same time. Because part of the game is you have a dog companion with you, and at one point the dog gets hurt, and so you have the option to, like, try and keep going with the hurt dog or leave the dog behind, and apparently that can trigger the other bad ending, which is the dog dies.
Jesus.
But I did not give up on that dog.
Yeah, I'm not even a big fan of dogs, and I still wouldn't do that.
Super depressing.
Yikes. Well, I'm going to skip that
especially
one.
Especially at the end. The end is like, like you are now the new, I can't remember what they called it. Basically, not Blair Witch, but the thing that helps the Blair Witch capture people. Your ex-wife has now disowned you. The child that you went into the forest looking for was never seen from again. The sheriff that was helping you at the beginning of the game, his body washed up on the shore somewhere else. Oh, but your dog survived and was found somewhere. I was like, I'll take it.
Okay, yeah. Close enough.
Right?
Yikes.
Yeah. The thing that sucks, too, about it is I was reading, like, because obviously I finished the game, and I was like, well, this can't be the real ending. Like, there's no hope here at all. There has to be multiple endings for this game, and I looked it up, and it's like, yeah, sure, there's multiple endings. And the way to get the good ending, because apparently your character still dies, but, doesn't become the new Blair Witch thing, is that you don't collect anything. How do you do that in a video game?
Yeah, no, that goes against my core.
Exactly. Like, literally just part of the game is walking and then just going, ooh, what's that? Pick it up. Cool. It's a weird stick figure thing. I'll pocket that. Just wandering around with like 30 different fucking stick figures and a fucking photo book of things and stuff. Oh, but apparently you shouldn't have collected any of that at all. Oh, and by the way, you can't kill any of the monsters too with your flashlight.
Can't Alan wake them?
Yep, can't Alan wake them. You have to use your, because you get a camcorder at one point. You have to use the night mode on your camcorder the whole entire time. You can't use the flashlight. I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, no, fuck that nonsense. Fuck that little kid for going in that forest.
Right?
Like, let his ass find his own way out. I ain't endangering no dog for some child. That dog don't know any different.
Right?
Bunch of
I will say it
nonsense.
was a good game for the most part. There were parts where, because it's like a walking simulator type game, I guess people would call it, where you're just literally walking. But it was cool that it seemed like there were times, because you're given no map or anything whatsoever in this game. You're just basically given a couple of things and just told, go. Just go.
Okay,
follow your dog.
This way.
So there were times where I'm sitting here like, I have no, like, you go back to that tree that you saw at the beginning of the game. And I was like, cool, I know that tree.
Wait a minute.
Which way is that tree? Fuck it, I'm just going to go this way, and eventually I'll find it. So it seemed like no matter which way you went, you always ended up in the correct place, which was really weird. Up until I found a game-breaking bug. Well, a game-breaking bug. I just had to reset the game. Towards the end of the game, you get dropped into this like weird dark maze type thing that you have to find your way through. And I had a weird thing, like, for some reason my guy was holding a gun and a flashlight, but he didn't have a gun. He shouldn't have had a gun. It was really weird. And so I'm walking through this maze, and I was like, ooh, collectible thing. And I walk up, and I'm trying to collect it. It won't animate to collect. And I turn around, and the maze shifts with you. So, like, you go one way, and then that way will suddenly become blocked off. Well, suddenly I realized that I'm stuck in this, like, maybe 10-foot by 4-foot rectangle, and I can't go anywhere whatsoever.
Joe, you're supposed to shoot the rectangle.
You couldn't do anything.
You're supposed to act like you're going to shoot it. It's like it's one of those, like, what are those tests called where it's like, it's got a name, but it's like where they force you to do something you're not supposed to do, and then if you do it, that means like it's a good response because like you're human or whatever.
Oh, it's literally a robot test?
Yeah.
Are you a robot?
Yeah, what's that thing called? The not Turing test, the other one.
Turing test?
Is it Turing test?
Alan Turing test? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Turing test. Yeah. Yeah, see, you're supposed to like pretend to like shoot a magic missile into the darkness or whatever.
But I couldn't shoot anything. I couldn't even access my inventory. Like, it was super weird.
Oh, that's strange.
So I look it up, and it was like, sure enough, like, I shouldn't even have a gun at all. Like, I should just have my regular flashlight. So I restarted the game, and everything worked fine after that. I was like, that was fucking weird.
The game doesn't even have an asset for a gun in it, but yet you somehow had a gun?
Well, it does for one scene. Well, two scenes. There's like a flashback because you're an ex-veteran or a veteran that is suffering from PTSD, so you have like a lot of flashbacks of being in some war. I'm guessing in Afghanistan. They don't really particularly say exactly where.
Gotcha.
And then there's another scene where the Blair Witch is like, kill your dog, and you're like, no, and you throw the gun. So there's no gun in your inventory, but somehow I ended up with it at that scene. It was super weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. The ending was really cool. If you've ever watched, I think it's the Blair Witch remake. What was it called,
Blair Witch?
Yeah, and you end up in the house. They end up in the house at the end.
Yeah.
So you end up in the same house at the end of this game, and you're wandering through the house, and it's very much like PT, where you're like wandering around in circles through the same rooms. It's just going through and through and through, but things like changing constantly. You're avoiding monsters, and you're using, at one point, all lights go out, and so you have to use the night vision on the camcorder, but it's not like something where you pick up to your face and use. It's literally, and I have a 65-inch TV, and I'm paying attention to like this 10-inch screen on the lower right of the corner of my TV. Everything else is blacked out. So it was really cool, but God, that ending was probably like a 30-minute ending of just like going around in fucking circles. There were times I was just like, okay, can I just end this right now? Are we done yet?
Jeez.
And then spooky stuff would start happening again. It's like, okay, that was cool, but come on, guys, can we end this now? I'm kind of done with this. Yeah.
Did you ever play Fatal Frame back in the day?
I never did play Fatal Frame, no.
Because you didn't have a PlayStation 2, right? Like, that was before your...
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I never owned any Sony PlayStations or anything like that. I know about the game. It seemed like it would be a game that I probably would have played,
Yeah, because when I played Alan Wake, the first one, because I never finished the second one, it reminded me of Fatal Frame because of the like having a gun thing. Like you don't have all you have in Fatal Frame is a camera. But the way you're talking about it reminds me of the same thing.
Yeah. And this game ended kind of early. I was hoping it would last a little bit longer because I'm building up towards games played and obviously stuff to watch during Halloween, during the month of October. But this thing ended a little early. The next game I was going to play is the DLC for Alien Isolation. All the DLC. Because I never played any of it.
That should be fun.
I think so.
Seemed pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I know that game that will be a lot more tense. Like Blair Witch wasn't very scary or anything whatsoever. It was more of just like a walk through things, something blah, and you're like, oh, cool, that was interesting.
Atmosphere stuff.
Yeah, atmospheric stuff mostly. But I know for a fact because I played the base game for Alien Isolation, I'm just going to be like, well, I'm going to sit under this table for 20 minutes because I'm too freaking terrified to actually go out right now.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of video games.
Yeah.
So we have two of what everyone says to be the three consoles supposed to be announced for the holiday season.
3 consoles.
Yeah, so there's rumors still that Nintendo's going to do a surprise drop of a pro version of the Switch.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Just because the Switches are like sort of kind of out of stock everywhere.
Yeah, but that could be pandemic reasons.
Yeah,
why.
that's what I think. But also Christmas time isn't when Nintendo releases their new consoles. Springtime
They just launched one. I mean, not really launched one, but they updated.
Yeah, they had the light
Switch
version, which is the more portable based version of the Switch. But yeah, I mean, anyways. So we now have release date for both the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5, as well as pricing and specs. Did you go over any of that stuff? Did you look at any of that?
No, I saw that they released pricing for the PlayStation. I've never, like I said, I've never owned a PlayStation, so I wasn't really interested maybe in getting one. But I don't know, with the way that Microsoft is doing a monthly thing for the Xbox, it might be a little bit easier to buy a PlayStation as well outright and then pay monthly on an Xbox.
Yeah.
Depending on how much I haven't been really gaming a whole lot lately. But it would be nice to be able to go back and play the Uncharted series, or at least finish the Uncharted series. I played 1 and 2 now. But what's the pricing on everything?
So we'll start with the Xbox because that came out first. So you have two different versions. You have the Xbox Series S and you have the Xbox Series X. Really, the only difference in them is the processor chip in them, in the graphics output. So with the Series S, it's just under 4K. But the Series X is 4K out the box and 8K ready.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Bigger hard drive in the X gives you the 1 terabyte of the solid state drive. The S you get a 512, which is cool because I mean you get, obviously that's still a lot, and it's that faster chip. But you do have the expansion slot for the extra 1 terabyte memory unit they're gonna sell for it, which has supposed to have the same read write speeds as the internal drive. So that's pretty cool.
Still like a direct connection to it.
Yeah, so it's a dedicated port, essentially made for it versus modifying a USB. So it'd be like having a second chip on the board, but you can obviously optional for it, and that probably has the ability to have more storage later down the line too, if you need more than 2 terabytes. And it has USB ports, so you can put on external media, whatever choice. You just won't have the same playback capabilities as you would on the main ones. So those ones, the Series S will retail for $300. The Series X will retail for $500. The thing you were talking about earlier is Xbox All Access, which is a pretty cool deal. The All Access is a monthly plan for 2 years, so 24 months. It's through a special financing thing that Microsoft has set up. And you can do it through almost any retailer because now their stores aren't even open, so you can do it through pretty much every major retailer, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, Amazon, Microsoft themselves, and I believe GameStop.
Okay.
I believe. That might be wrong about GameStop. I can't remember. But
no one cares.
Yeah, no one cares. So the S will be $24 a month. The X will be $35 a month. The difference in them, or the difference in this is you're not just buying the console, which is pretty cool. You're actually getting 2 years or 24 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes all the 100+ games, all the Microsoft titles, but also includes Xbox Live, all tied into that. And later this year, you're gonna get access to EA Access as well, which is their streaming service. So you'll be able to play a lot of the EA games, as well as get discounts on content via EA. So like the Star Wars games, like the last one that came out in the Squadrons, that'll be pretty cool. And when I did the math the other day, essentially it comes out to be $100 more than what the console would be if you bought it outright. But that's not if you include the price of Game Pass Ultimate, because Game Pass Ultimate for a year is $100. So that's technically $200 because it's 24 months or 2 years of it. If you tack that on, you're actually saving $100 if you're to buy all those things together.
Which is pretty dope.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, and I didn't see it on the website, but I believe part of the 2-year plan also includes extended warranty on the device,
which would make it even more worth it.
Yeah, I have to look it up, so don't that's not set in stone, but the last time they did this, it did include that. So if you had an issue, you could actually get it replaced, which is pretty cool. That gets released on both those get released November 10th, and the pre-orders start on the 22nd of September. So I mean, definitely, it's basically in a few days from when we're recording this. And then again, to be available at all retails, you just have to sign up for I can't remember what the credit line's called. It's like Credit One or Credit something or other, but it's a from what I remember, because it's the same company they used before, it's a pretty lenient thing because you're not putting a balance on anything. You're just doing just the price of the console, which is, $35 a month for the X is actually not that bad. No, because that'd be less, like the similar to what you'd pay for on a Best Buy card, for example. Yeah. But it's if I remember correctly, the credit on it is not very hard to get because we used to sell them to people all the time that they're like, well, my credit sucks. Well, we'll try it. And then they get it. You're like, well, okay, well, you fucking got it. So there you go. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then just as of recording now, yesterday, Sony released their all the details and everything about the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Digital, I believe as they call it. And the difference in them, so the PlayStation, the cheaper model, the digital only one, so it doesn't have a disc drive in it, is $400. The disc drive one is $500. Specs are exactly the same, other than obviously an optical drive on the more expensive one. So if you want a Blu-ray player, $100 more gets you a Blu-ray player. And obviously a disc drive for physical media.
No.
Yeah, right. Like
I don't need one.
I don't need one, so I will be getting the $400 one for sure. Pre-orders actually,
especially if you're getting the Xbox. The Xbox one is a Blu-ray player, so
yeah, it's like I don't need 2 Blu-ray players, let alone 1 Blu-ray player. No. So the PlayStation actually went up for pre-sale today, September 17th, as of recording. You and I recording, and it will drop 2 days after the Xbox does, which is really weird. But whatever, right? because I believe it's a Sunday, if I saw that correctly, right? Yeah. Which is a total, almost Nintendo move, really, because Nintendo likes to release shit on Fridays and Sundays.
Right.
Because that's how they do things. But yeah, so that happens. Apparently, they're sold out everywhere for the pre-orders. Because like systems were crashing and all sorts of stuff. People were trying to get it for them. So much so that I got an update from CNET earlier. Not that I follow it, but CNET always sends me like whatever random shit. And it's like, oh, didn't get a chance to get one of the sold out pre-orders for the PlayStation 5. Hey, here's one on eBay for $25,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there are people that are just throwing those shit up on eBay right now for
it's like
exorbitant prices. Do these people actually make money doing this?
Well, the problem is, and well, this is the thing. The pre-order is tied to a PSN ID.
Oh, so it's tied to the guy's account.
So there may not be a way for them to resell it, is what everyone is saying online.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's true or not, but from what I read that's what it's supposed to be. And that could be only tied to the ones pre-ordered directly from Sony. But everyone's like, oh, these people are going to get ripped off because they can't actually resell the console, especially for $25,000, because no one's going to pay that. No. And anybody who does is like they deserve to get ripped off because you're stupid at that point. But yeah, everyone's like, oh, but you had to like sign in with your PSN ID to finish the pre-order, and I was like, well, that sucks, I guess, because I guess there's bonuses for doing pre-orders through PlayStation. So through the retailers, Best Buy, Amazon, all those places, when you get it, you have to sign. You have to, like, there's a thing where you put in your PSN ID. And then that links your special pre-order stuff, because you get. I can't remember what it was. I was reading it, but of it, there's like special deals on launch games, or like bundles or something you get when you get that, or like free PlayStation Network stuff for like a couple months or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, I just thought that was pretty funny that like PlayStation actually kind of did something that might stop people from reselling the consoles at a stupid amount.
It would be really weird, though, then would that mean that at any given point in time they couldn't resell the console because it'd be like I don't know. It seems weird to me, because then it would seem like that the console's permanently locked to that person then.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. But I just thought I think that's more of just the console probably won't be tied to them until they sign into it, but the purchase of the device and maybe warranty information might be tied to the purchase. So, like, the person would be like, well, if you have issues with it, here's my info?
Yeah, right.
Question mark? Yeah, I don't know. But it's an interesting thing for sure that was happening. But, yeah, it was a feeding frenzy for pre-orders today. Like, everybody was trying to get them, and there's like I know Best Buy's website crashed a bunch of times, and I saw on Reddit someone posted Amazon's, or not Amazon, but Target's website. The buy button, when you clicked on it, or pre-order button, you click on it, would flash and then go like, oh, we're loading, and then just like come back to the same page. Then you'd go to your cart, and it would show that you have one in there, but you can't click on the details. Like the cart says one thing in it, you click on it, and then it's blank. I was like, I guess that's pretty funny.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I find it weird that they're still not doing monthly payments like Microsoft is.
Yeah, I think it's because no one actually expected Microsoft to do this again with the new console. But I think it's smart because of the way the world is set right now, with, obviously the pandemic happening and like people being more frugal with their money or whatever, but also it's an easier way to do it, like, because dropping $400-$600 on a console, it's it's one of those things where like, oh, I could definitely do $35 a month,
right,
easier than I could do just giving you $600 right then and there.
It kind of ends up being like, just another digital service rather than this huge purchase that you have to decide that you want to make.
Yeah, and you're tying not that they're tying, but you're linking people into your your main service, which is what you're going to make your money on, which is the Game Pass Ultimate. Yes, you're giving to them for free, but you're linking them to them, so they're always, they're more likely to use that service more than anything else because I'm already paying for it. Might as well use it.
Well, there's that, and you're obviously giving them a little bit of the experience, and then once that expires, like, hey man, you can just update it. You can just keep going with this experience. Exactly. I mean, it works with me because I haven't actually bought a game in a while. I've just been playing through stuff on the Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's where I got Blair Witch. Before that, I was playing a little bit of Red Dead, even though that only lasted like 2 months on Game Pass, which was really odd. Doom on there. I can't wait for Doom Eternal to hit that.
Yeah.
That's when I'll play Doom Eternal. I was playing a Super Lucky's Tale.
Oh, Super Lucky's Tale is so much fun.
So you played it?
Oh yeah, I played the VR version as well as the console version.
I didn't know there was a VR version. Yeah, Matt from work was telling me about it, how he played it when he was younger. Ugh.
That hurts my soul.
Right?
Younger, 5 years ago when it first came out or some nonsense?
Something like that, yeah.
Come on, Matt.
And he was saying how much fun it was, but it's like super cartoony and stuff. And so I played it for a little bit, and I ended up clearing the whole entire first level. And I was like, this is actually pretty fun.
It's one of the best platformers I've ever played.
Yeah, and it's weird too because you have the main levels and you have like side levels that you can play in. For the first area, it was just these simple move the statue around puzzles. So when I got into the second area, I was like, oh, it's just those side things are just going to be more complicated. Move the statue around type stuff. Nope, totally different game, totally different games whatsoever. Or even down to there was the temple run type level. I wasn't even prepared for that. I hopped into that and I was like, okay, this is just going to be regular side scrolling, blah blah blah, or whatever. And suddenly, the character just starts running, and I was like, no, what? No, stop! Why are you running? I didn't realize until a couple seconds in. I was like, oh, this is a quote unquote infinite runner type thing where it just starts running and you just all you're controlling is jump. So it's really cool that it has all these different gaming elements into it. You have an overworld, you have the individual worlds, and then you have within those worlds, it's different things that it's different gameplay mechanics within them. And then there's a shit ton of stuff to collect, and the characters themselves, the NPC characters were. I got to the second world, and it's like a Texas or like world, and so like the characters are these like redneck worms.
Yeah.
Good fucking Lord. I was laughing at how they speak. But that's as far as I got before I started playing Blair Witch.
You should play Journey to a Savage Planet.
I keep seeing that, and I've seen people play it. It's just that the way I understand it, it's more of an open world type game.
So yeah, I mean it is. I don't want to say yeah. It is. It's like kind of like in a way what I've described it to people was like a platformer, but it feels kind of like Fallout.
Yeah. And that's kind of because I played Fallout, or not Fallout, Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Which is literally Fallout in space. And I was so kind of disheartened by that game.
Yeah.
Just because there really was no change from Fallout. It was literally just Fallout in space.
Yeah.
So I was really disheartened by that, the open world. Like I played it all the way through. By the end, I was just like, I just want to finish this game. I'm not having fun in this. It's not entertaining. It's not funny. I gave up on a lot of the side quests because they were just dumb. It was monotonous to go from one place to another. So that's why I kind of am hesitant to get back into an open world game. That's why, I started playing Red Dead, but I gave up on that too. And
yeah, there's a lot in that game.
I did go and finish Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
That rekindled a little bit of the fun of an open world game because it's just so much fun to be Batman.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So much fun.
Yeah, the locomotion in that game is pretty spectacular.
Even I went through and got all the Riddler trophies.
Oof, you are a fucking saint among men, sir.
That's what I did. I sat down and I was just like, I am going to get all the Riddler trophies. So I just pulled up a walkthrough and I was just like, okay, here we go. Riddler trophy number 1 that I'm missing. And I just went through them all. But even in that was so much more fun to do than Outer Worlds.
Yeah, because you don't have that like heavy RPG-ness to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, I have to worry about like upgrading this skill or whatever, right? And I thought of this when we were talking. The best way to describe Journey to Savage Plan is if the guys who make Borderlands were to make a Fallout game.
And that'd be a little bit more fun because I know I had more fun with Borderlands. It doesn't take itself very seriously at all.
And this game does not.
It's very colorful and fun to look at rather than very drab and very dystopian to look at in a weirdly futuristic place.
Yeah.
So maybe one of these days I'll get to it. Yeah.
Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, it has a little bit of like an upgrade system to it where you have branches but all you're doing is upgrading like core skills. You're not like, oh, I should put more into this because I need to be able to shoot a gun better or I need to safe crack this. It's more of just like upgrade your jetpack so you can go higher and faster and farther for longer, or upgrade your gun so you can take down this thing as you progress up and things like that. But it's just a fun, but it's very platform heavy because it's, you has to use motion up and down, flying and stuff like that. So it's just pretty cool. And it's also really funny. The commercials they make are just ridiculous and it has real people in it.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's it for the video game stuff or the pre-order stuff for those ones. As far as I saw.
You mentioned it would be really cool to get. I just want to circle back to the Nintendo thing. It would be really cool if they did release a Nintendo Switch Pro. And I mention that because maybe you can clarify this a little bit. Is the Xbox streaming service coming to the Switch?
So, not yet. So basically they're trying to, but because you're not really buying the games through the console, there's no revenue stream, so it essentially becomes just a window. So right now, what they did is they have a partnership where they're actually they're beginning releasing some Xbox titles for the Switch. When I say that, I'm not saying Halo. The first set of the first one they're going to do is the new Ori game, because it's very similar to like a lot of the things you play on the Nintendo, but it's more of a family friendly game than anything else. And even though if you're an adult and you play it, you're probably going to cry because it's an emotional terrorist game. But anyways, not that I cry, because I never cry. So that's kind of the first venture into it. They're still working on getting it that way. So the cool thing about is it's referred to as xCloud, but it's actually not going to be called that. It's called game streaming. It's going to be rolled into Game Pass Ultimate for anybody who has an Android phone right now. So you can, or a tablet, you can stream any game, almost any game that's on the Game Pass Ultimate, but all the Microsoft branded games and a ton of the other ones you can stream via the internet through another screen of some sort, be it your phone, be it a tablet, and use a controller as well. Some of the games are actually getting touchscreen control updates.
Oh, interesting.
So like Gears of War 5 will actually have the ability to play it on the touchscreen. Not that you should, because that would be so fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
But anyways, still bad thing. And actually, Apple just announced the other day, right before their press conference, that they're opening up the iOS platform for it as well. But there's one caveat. Microsoft has to release every game and get it approved like an individual app.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't.
Means it probably won't happen.
It will. I think they're going to do it because it's very similar to what they have to do with Steam right now, where if they put one of their Microsoft Studio games on there, they have to submit it as a full game. So it has to be able to be individualized. I just don't think it's going to be one of those things where like you have to download it from the App Store directly. They just have to submit all the games that will be eventually available through that, because mainly Microsoft or Apple wants to make sure that their consoles, they're not getting overrun by nonsense on there, but also make sure it's proper and everything like that. But I don't know. I think it's now going to be closer, and I think it's almost a slap in the face of Epic and their whole Fortnite thing right now, because that's one of the reasons that they're in a dispute right now, is the fact that you can buy stuff through Fortnite when Apple's not getting any revenue, even if you're buying it on their platform. And that's the whole thing that they're trying to, stop from happening. So it'd be interesting and the reason why it's a little different than the Fortnite thing is because through Game Pass Ultimate, xCloud, whatever you want to call it, you're not buying anything. You know what I mean? Like You're just getting, the games are already there. It's just you're streaming it via another device. You're not. I think their whole big thing is you're not utilizing their platform via iOS. You're using a platform adjacent to it through the actual xCloud service. So you're not really using iOS. It's like if you bought a TV and you never used the built-in software, but you used peripherals and stream stuff through it, like through like an Apple TV or a Roku stick or a Fire TV, even though like your TV has smart features in it. Same idea, obviously, but like, money. Because that's the service they're offering. And I think that's actually one of the key reasons that like with the Apple announcement on Tuesday, with the whole arcade being part of the Apple One is a huge thing, because from what I read online, the iTunes or Apple Arcade games, that service hasn't really taken off the way they hoped it would.
Right.
Because I don't like that platform's not known for video games. You know what I mean? There are lots of fun games you can get on your iPhone or whatever. But when people think, I'm going to pay for a service to play games, it's not going to be on my phone, because that's like I'm going to waste time on my phone thing, not spend an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours playing a game on my phone. So having it part of that service is actually a pretty cool idea, because it's going to lead into that whole family pack thing where like, I got this. The kids can play all the games they want that are part of this, and I don't have to worry about it. But you also know that the content's going to be secure and safe, and you're not, giving them a fucking murder simulator.
Yeah, it's curated by Apple, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the way I saw it. When Apple announced the Apple One packs, it seems weird, more of an adult thing to be like, it would have been cool to like get the Apple News stuff instead of like the arcade stuff for the family pack. But I mean, I'll take it no matter what I get. And it's one of those things. It's just like the way I look at it, it's free. Yeah. At that point. So yeah, maybe I'll play a game or two here or there, but it's not something that I care for at all. When they announced it way back in the day, which I say that, and that was like last year or something like that, or 2 years ago or whatever. It's like I don't really play games on my phone or even my iPad right now, and even the games that I do play on my iPad are like stupid Simpsons Tapped Out or the Futurama game, which is essentially Simpsons Tapped Out.
Yeah,
but just
Futurama, yeah. Yeah, no, I basically only play the We Bare Bears game, which is a match game, and then every now and then I'll get one of those like ball bouncing games things, whatever, and you break the bricks or whatever. That's it. I mean, I don't really do. Otherwise, my iPad is mainly for looking up on stuff on the internet, and the very few times I've tried to actually draw stuff for T-shirt designs, which, by the way, I'm still not good at. So,
you'll get there.
Yeah,
you'll get there, kid.
Oof, I don't know about that. I need to fucking Bill and Ted this shit to be able to do that.
But yeah, so.
But yeah, no. I found the article thing about teasing for you were bringing up the Nintendo thing. The as people are referring to now as the Nintendo Switch Pro. There was a tease, and I don't even know where like the tease came from. I just know it's like the rumors started circling. But it's at the earliest it's probably gonna be sometime in 2021. But it was when they trying to find the thing where it talked about it. It was only like 3 or 4 days ago when it first popped up. But it's like there's a pretty cool picture. So there it is, right there. That I will send you via the text messages. Because technology,
right?
And again, this is just like a mock of what someone thinks is going to look like, but it has this handheld console that looks like the Lite, but with like a much bigger screen, a much bigger design. But then it has a secondary box that you would hook up to your TV that would stream the content from the device. And what some people are saying would be wirelessly charging a battery by placing it on top of it, then turning it into a console where you then play like you do the Switch, where you dock the Switch now. But you could play it much similar. Do you remember how the Wii U had the tablet, but you could play the games from the console on the tablet without using the TV? It'd be the other way around. Like you could play on the main console is the tablet, but you could then stream the game via the console into that piece into your TV. But
I dig the concept. I kind of miss. And obviously I don't own a Switch right now. I think I would kind of miss the detachable controllers part.
Yeah, I'm guessing there'd be a peripheral you would get for it. Like I kind of never use the Joy-Cons separately from the console. I have the Pro controller because it feels more like a real controller, and I don't like the Joy-Cons because I don't have large hands, but I don't know anybody with big hands plays the fucking Switch because the controllers are so goddamn small on it.
Every Switch that I have tried, it is very difficult for me.
Yeah, it's just not.
Especially, I remember John brought his in to work one time because we were really slow, and he had Mario Kart, so I'm just playing on the one controller, just this little itty bitty thing in my ginormous fucking fingers. It was awful. It's playable, but it's not ideal.
Yeah, it's not like enjoyable whatsoever.
But it'd be really awesome in my mind that Nintendo did something like this, and then they allowed Microsoft to do streaming on it, because then essentially that's Microsoft being like, yeah, we don't have to develop a portable console because we have the Nintendo thing.
Yep.
You just subscribe to our service, even if you don't own an Xbox, and boom, you have all these Xbox games that you can stream to your Switch.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome. It'd be awesome if Sony did the same thing.
Yeah, because I mean, it's nobody ever is gonna beat Nintendo in the portability department.
No.
And you and I have talked this before. I don't know if we ever talked on the podcast. When I first heard the idea of the Switch, I said that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I was like, you can't, like, there's no way it's gonna be a functional device that's a portable device you hooked up to your TV. But Nintendo proved me wrong drastically, because they did it extremely well, and they did it beyond what my brain could ever think it would be. Because other than I don't like the design of the uprightness of it, just think it kind of gets in the way of stuff. Just the ability to just pop it in and out, because it's not loading the game separately. You're still running on the hardware. It's literally just an output. Like, it's a USB-C out to HDMI. So that dock is literally just an adapter that holds the console. You know, you could get away with just plugging a USB-C to HDMI adapter into it. The difference is it also charges it and has an Ethernet port if you want to use it that way. But it's just a dock that exports the video directly from the console out to the TV, and that's it. It's not like you're not like taking it and like mounting it in there, and it has to load the game up. It's seamless. It just pops in and out, and it's fucking genius.
Right.
Beyond my wildest dreams, and I don't use it as nearly as it's not like my main console right now. It just plays Animal Crossing and Cat Quest 1 and 2, and then soon to be Super Mario Sunshine, because that comes out tomorrow, and I already pre-ordered it. But I mean, there are certain games, and again, it's one of those things where like I play mostly exclusives on it, because it's going to be things I don't really play with other people. But whatever. But having one that does 4K would be better, I guess. But I mean, I don't know if I really care that much about it.
Well, so far Nintendo, like, graphics on their own games isn't really something that they're necessarily pushing. It's more of an experience / they find a way for visually to look still stunning and pleasing. And yeah, you're right. It's not 4K or anything like that. They're not necessarily going for realism. Do you think Nintendo will ever release a standard console again, or is this kind of like their niche thing now?
I think this is going to be their niche thing for now, just because they're never going to, like, they've never been the platform that you look at and say, oh, they're trying to compete with, like, PC gaming, but, like, PlayStation and Xbox have been. Like, they're striving to be there, and obviously they're never going to catch up to console gaming because of the limitations of not being able to upgrade your console,
right?
Other than buying a new console when they slightly do upgrades or whatever, which obviously you and I are guilty of doing that sort of thing. But it's one of those things where like the Nintendo's like, you know what, that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the experience and that like the gameplay more than anything else. We're not making an entertainment system. We're not going to do the Netflix thing through it. I mean, you can, but that's not what they're aiming for. This is another thing. But they're looking at the games. They're looking at the like, I can't tell you how many times like I don't have updates for my Nintendo games, but I have several updates for my Xbox games and my PlayStation games.
Oh yeah,
like day one console update or day one game updates, like that. Essentially, if you don't have, they make it so you can't play the game because otherwise they know it's broken. And they're like, no, the game's finished, guys. Here's a day one update that fixes it, whatever. But Nintendo, it's like the only updates you ever get for the games are content updates,
which is cool.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that means the games are finished before they come out. But whatever. But yeah, it's just like I think Nintendo's kind of found their and they've never really had an issue. Like they know they're never going to have to compete directly with an Xbox or a PlayStation because two reasons. One is whenever a fan, like a mother or father thinks of a video game console for their kid, they're instantly going to think Nintendo. The other thing too is they've ever since the Game Boy was as successful as it was, that portability has always been in the mind of everybody. Like when you think, oh, I'm going to, I want to game on the go. We still don't think I'm going to game on my phone. I'm going to game on my Game Boy, like my DS or my Switch or my Switch Lite. And it's that thing where like they've done it so well, like they don't need to go back. And I think doing the Switch was the most brilliant thing they could do because it is a home console, air quotes, as well as a portable device. The one thing I'll say, though, is not having switchable batteries is the worst thing, but I also know why they did that because they don't want third-party batteries fucking up the console. Right. And they worried about a more comfortable portable build because the biggest thing that, like, one of the biggest things you could get for, like, for a Game Boy back in the day was a battery pack.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many times I saw Game Boys get ruined because of some third-party bullshit thing that's like a knockoff of a Mad Catz,
Yeah.
And it fries the console because it's not the right power. It's like, oh, it's going to last longer because it's better than AA batteries. But all of a sudden, like, the screen doesn't light up as much anymore because it's burning it out or whatever. Or it gets so hot you can't touch it and the buttons don't work anymore, that sort of shit. But so, like, I know that's why they did it. But they also wanted to keep the form factor more consistent because then you don't have to worry about other docks and having all that fun stuff and things like that can But whatever. I think that's the biggest thing. And then like with the light, I was hoping they were kind of have like this, hey, we're gonna make our own batteries for it, but they didn't. They just made it just a built-in Joy-Cons. But whatever. Hopefully the new one has better battery life than that one, which is not bad.
I'm sure it will,
but could be a lot better. And I mean, I say that like because like phones nowadays, like iPhones and newer Android phones, especially Samsungs, they have really good batteries to them, and it's a device that's always on and always doing something. Yeah. So I know it's there, but it's more of like, can we get the price right to put it in a mass-marketed console like that? And I'm sure they're going to do it. It's just more of a learning curve because, I mean, I guarantee you my Switch battery when it was new was better than my DS battery was the entire time. Always.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Even with the bigger and brighter screen and not running two screens, because I guess that would be a big thing too. But,
it would be, yeah.
You know, more comprehensive games, things like that just make the console that much more powerful. But yeah, I mean that's what I thought. And that picture I sent you is from an article that says that most likely it's going to be sometime in 2021 because Nintendo is not going to try to rush console to the market. If they were, we've already heard about it because they would plan that shit way in advance for Christmas time.
Yeah,
and they never release consoles near the holidays. It's always about games. And
they would have announced it by now.
Yeah, we would have heard about it. It would have been a Nintendo Direct, or it would have been around E3 time. Not that E3 really existed this year.
Yeah, right.
But it would have been around that time. We're like, hey, just so you know, like, because I mean, I guarantee you, if it weren't for E3 not happening, we would have got. I know at least the Xbox would have been announced at E3. The differences in them. Sony was already not going to be there before the pandemic happened. So they were probably going to do their own event, but we would have had it around the same time. There's no way they would have waited this long into the year. But I think both of them did that because of concerns of not having the console ready, but also knowing that there's not going to be gaming conventions for them to shove that in our faces. So like, well, I guess we can do this at our own pace. And to tell you the truth, both companies kind of did it in a shitty way because they didn't really release any info, or not all the info right at the same time. We got, oh, here's what it's going to be, or going to look like, and that's what it's called. And then all of a sudden, like, the leaks of the S came out, and they're like, oh, by the way, the S is a real thing. And I think it's kind of like a shitty way. And like PlayStation, like a month ago or something like that, they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to release two consoles. Here's what they look like. Here are no specs. Look for an event in the future, and we'll tell you all about it. I'm like,
Well, there are still even rumors of a third Xbox console, something in between the S and the X.
Yeah, which is super fucking dumb. I can't imagine what that would be, other than basically an optical discless X. You know what I mean? Like it's the same high powered console. So it does the 4K at 120 hertz, and it does I think 8K is listed at 60 frames, right? Yeah, 4K at 120 frames and 8K at 60 frames. And they're like, just the same console, but it doesn't have a disc drive. I'm like, hey, you should have released it at the same time.
Yeah.
But also, that also seems like that could be like the slim version of it. But I'm like, well, just put it out. You know what I mean? Like, just give us that option. Even if it's like, hey, like it's $50 less. I'm like, well, it's $50 less I'm going to spend on the console because I give two actual shits about an optical drive at this point in my life.
Right. Same here.
Like, I can't tell you, and this is embarrassing. The last thing I'll say before we wrap it up because I think we're almost there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am so fucking lazy when it comes to watching movies. If I can't find it to stream on one of the many of like every service I own, I will buy it on iTunes, even though I know for a fact I own it on disc somewhere in this house.
Right.
I don't want to go looking for it. And multiple of my bookshelves are alphabetized, so I could easily find it. I'm just so lazy that I don't want to have to switch devices to go to something that has a disc drive, put a disc in like a savage, and wait through a menu.
Right.
Like, ew. I will spend an
Right.
extra $15 on a movie I probably own on both DVD and Blu-ray at this point in my life. I'll buy it again on iTunes, or I'll like I almost bought a movie through fucking Amazon the other day, and I was like, I stopped myself. I was like, hold on, you can find this somewhere else, and I did.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I'm so lazy when it comes to that. And it's not even like, it's not like my house is big. It's not like I'm fucking going, 100 yards to find this movie, or I have to go through boxes.
No.
They're on shelves everywhere in this fucking house, and I could probably go find, because the movie I'm talking about is Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah.
I was like, I own this. I know I own it on at least DVD. I don't know if I own it on Blu-ray. But I was like, I could go find it, and I probably know exactly where it's at, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna hit buy on iTunes for it was like $10 or $12, and I'm gonna watch it.
And play now. Yeah.
Like I hit buy, and I don't have to wait for it to download, because it's streaming, so it just goes boom, goes right in the movie. I was like,
yeah.
Fuck. I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. I was thinking about this when I was doing it. I was like, man, I'm so stupidly lazy. I'd rather pay another $10, $15 for this movie than go find it wherever it's sitting in my house, because then I have to switch from the Apple TV over to like the Xbox and put the disc in there and then like play it, and then the controls are different because I'm using a controller versus, I'm like, or I can keep my fat ass sitting on my couch and just watch it in all its nostalgic glory and be happy as can be. And I did.
And it's there again the next time you want to watch it.
Yep, exactly. I'm like, well, I'm going to watch Johnny Mnemonic again. Why? Because it's here and I don't have to do anything.
Yep.
But yeah, so actually, speaking of one last thing, I promise. Have you noticed when you go into Amazon, the Amazon Prime Video app guess it's probably everywhere too, but on the Apple TV, it shows the Movies Anywhere stuff now?
Yes. Yeah.
I was not prepared for that. I was like, I don't own any movies on Amazon. What is this? And I was like, wait a minute.
No, it's done that for a while.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know if it. I mean, I must have not have seen it, because now it was like the second section below, and I was like, wait, I don't own this movie on Amazon. And then I had to think to myself, did I buy a movie on Amazon and not think about it? And then I'm looking at all these movies and I'm like, wait a minute, no, I just bought that on iTunes, because Last Mohican showed up, and I was like, whoa, no, I bought that on iTunes. I know for a fact I didn't buy it on Amazon. But then I realized what the movies they were. I was like, oh shit, okay, well that's weird.
Yeah, they've had that for a while, and I had the same reaction as you when I first noticed it. I don't know, sometime last year, whenever they initiated it. I was sitting there scrolling through things. I think I have one thing purchased through Amazon Prime, and that's because that was the only place at the time to purchase it, which was the Cowboy Bebop collection, the really good dubbed version of Cowboy Bebop, and yeah, the same as you. Like I was scrolling through it one time, and I was like, okay, there's Cowboy Bebop, and then it was like, there's Captain America, there's all these other things. And I was like, I don't own these on Amazon Prime. What?
It was weird.
Then I realized, oh, that's because I have all my accounts linked through the Movies Anywhere stuff.
Yep.
That was showing up there. Yeah.
Speaking of Movies Anywhere, comes naturally, we are
Joe.
And I am Cody. That's actually technically it for this week's episode, everybody. So, like we always say at the end of these, you fuckers just came naturally.
Have a good night, guys.